It is so good to be here today, and I truly have joy in my heart this morning as I anticipate this fifth Teens Leading Change showcase of projects. Every single time I am awed, inspired, and filled with hope at the intelligence, determination, and talent that the teens of Los Angeles demonstrate. Traditionally, libraries are known as being quiet places of literature and learning. And sometimes that's true, but what most people don't realize, and especially those who haven't used a library lately, is that it is actually very much, and you all know this, a lively place of community engagement and very much a demonstration of democracy in action.
This is one of my favorite events of the year, not just because of my participation in the Library Foundation, but as a citizen of Los Angeles. I'm so proud and happy to support and see and be engaged in what you teens are doing. Even though this is probably my third time being involved, I love being part of the Teens Democracy Program and Teens Leading Change. But believe it or not, for the first time, I actually looked up the word democracy this morning. We think we know what it means. It actually comes from two Greek words, demos, which means people, and kratos, which means rule. So democracy is the idea that the citizens of a country should take an active role in the government of their country and manage it directly or through elected representatives. Both of those are essential to a healthy democracy. And so I am so proud to celebrate with you today your direct participation in our democracy, living it, being a part of it. It's not some dim and distant activity you do when you finally are old enough to vote. No, you are demonstrating democracy right now, and your projects demonstrate that you are taking on some of the most challenging and difficult problems that we face and making change now. So I have a conversation. I was at the first sort of post-COVID dinner party where everyone was vaccinated earlier this week. So I'm so thrilled about that. But at that dinner party was a young woman that I've known. She was the daughter of my friend's parents, and I've known her all the way through high school and college. And we got in a really heated conversation at dinner about some social issues that are right at the forefront. Some of the things you're talking about today. And afterwards, Haley sent me a text and said, you know, I'm so sorry I get heated about this, and I really appreciate the encouragement, but sometimes I also need to shut the hell up and listen. And that was her feeling, sort of being the youngest person in this conversation at dinner. And I texted her back and I said, you know, Haley, keep raising hell. It suits you and it makes us better. I say that to all of you teens. Keep raising hell, keep speaking up, speaking out. You make us better and you make our world better. And I'm so proud and pleased to share this Demokratos experience with all of you. So good luck and congratulations. I can't wait to see how all this plays out. Thank you, Ken. Thank you again, Madeline and Shirley and everyone. It's an honor to be with you all.
Since the start of the pandemic, students have been forced to adjust to new learning environments. As a result, many have faced challenges that have affected their ability to learn, and depending on students' socioeconomic backgrounds, the pandemic has had different effects on everyone. Our mission is to target and address these inequities to help close the gap between affluent and non-affluent students so both can have a similar quality of education.
So how did we tackle this issue? We split the teen council up into 3 groups. The resources group helped us find outside resources that would help students in numerous subjects such as math, history, English, and science. We provided links to YouTube playlists, practice exams, and also included some of the resources that the library has to offer. The Toolkit group created letter templates to help students better communicate with teachers and staff. And the marketing group created a survey so that we can hear from different students around LA to get a better idea of the academic experience during the pandemic. Taking in a deeper analysis of the results, nearly 90% of the students claim that their school gives them access to resources, it should be considered that this doesn't account for the people that actually take advantage of these academic resources such as textbooks and Wi-Fi hotspots. Some students are intimidated to ask for these resources, and ultimately, in our Toolkit document, we have several different letter templates that we created so that students can feel more comfortable in reaching out to a teacher. So here we have an example of a letter template. And this, for example, could be used for asking an extension for a classwork assignment, a homework assignment, or even an exam. And the purpose of these templates is to make students more confident when reaching out to a teacher.
We are from Hollywood High Matter with Purpose Club, Teens Leading Change, and we are currently working on education equity. Our team include Megan, Mariah, Josma, Khadija, Andrea, Christopher, Gavin, Ashley, and me, Sekunit. Our purpose. We want to provide all students with access to technology and public Wi-Fi with a focus on the Hollywood community. Why technology? Technology and access to Wi-Fi are crucial to any student in 2021. Our project started during COVID-19 as a way to ensure every student had what they need to learn from home. After our research through reading bill articles and survey, what we found out is that our community most affected are those of color. One way we are helping is by providing technology. Our tech team include Andrea, Galvin, Megan, Josma, Mariah, and Christopher is actively working on providing students in need with technology to help continue learning from home with a grant from the Los Angeles Public Library.
During our research, we also decided to create a petition in order to get our community involved in a specific action. We expect our team to get 1,000 signatures in order to be able to provide public Wi-Fi.
So we are the Robertson Teen Council, which is made up of over 27 teens from 8 different schools. And for this Teens Leading Change program, we decided to focus on the school to prison pipeline. Well, we began with a discussion of issues that face our communities. We then condensed our ideas into 3 main issues: housing inequality, the criminal justice system, and racial inequities. In our next step, we tried to draw connections between these different issues and identify common themes that all of them shared. We found that common themes included the relationship between poverty, racism, incarceration, and the vicious cycle that encompasses all 3. We decided that the school to prison pipeline embodied all 3 of these issues and their relationship to one another, and was also a topic that each council member connected with as students who have experienced and or seen the lasting effects of this problem in their day-to-day life as students.
Thank you. So, like Sarah said, in the early stages of developing our project, we spent a lot of time identifying inequality and injustice in our community, and we considered this on a national level and then a more local level. We identified the school to prison pipeline as a disturbing trend that we define as the criminalization of youth that begins in schools and disproportionately affects students of color and marginalized groups. Our council found that we all see elements of the school to prison pipeline around us, and some of us experience the symptoms of it in our own schools. We've come to understand that the school to prison pipeline is a product of racism and bias in schools, and that over-policing, zero-tolerance policies, and inadequate resources in public schools generate an environment in which largely students of color are targeted as criminals instead of being supported as students. We've also drawn connections between policing, incarceration, and the school to prison pipeline. Our project is focused on dismantling the school-to-prison pipeline and examining what we can do to combat it in our schools. We've explored what actions and approaches we can take to fight this trend, examining the influence that teachers, administrators, and coaches have in student lives on campus by listening to their perspectives. Most recently, we've organized and conducted interviews with teachers from our schools. We've gained a lot of insight around their perspective as they shared their personal opinions surrounding discipline, supportive teaching methods, and how they define the school-to-prison pipeline. We've invited educators, activists, and community organizers to share their experiences surrounding the pipeline, especially regarding policing in schools and disciplinary methods. We've spoken to advocates representing GRID, which is the Gang Reduction and Youth Development Program located in LA, Project Knucklehead, which is a nonprofit focused on dismantling the school-to-prison pipeline, as well as Students Deserve.
We feel so grateful to have been taught about issues by such amazing advocacy organizations. We have also learned more about topics and issues not usually discussed in schools. We have gained insight on teachers' thoughts, experiences, and themselves, which have enabled us to understand issues within our community more. As young adults, we are so grateful to have learned about such issues that impact everyone in our community.
So the next step for our group, we are planning to have more speakers and have a time of self-reflection on what we have accomplished and what we have learned through this project.
We did a lot of brainstorming on mental health and noticed that other students need support in school due to the pandemic. Other things that we are interested in is that schools are learning to adapt during the pandemic. We created a survey for middle and high school students to help us figure out what we can do to help other students during this time. Our survey aimed to collect information about the distant learning mental health, any possible link in between. Students reported mixed results about distant learning. It's extremely tiring. It's super hard to learn from home when I know I'm going to graduate being online, and a few others. Returning back to normal. On a scale of 1 to 10, 1 being less excited, 10 being most excited of experiment for returning to school, our survey response were about 7.16 excited.
And this is pink thumbs to green thumbs. Okay. Our original plan was to have a community garden in the Pio Pico area where people can come and plant their plants. But that did not play out the way we wanted to due to COVID. But we improvised and created gardening at home kits in order to learn how to garden at home while researching the various aspects of food poverty in the Pio Pico area and how to have a community garden and the impacts on the situation of food poverty in the area. So later on, we can advocate for a community garden. However, in my experience, I had planted some lettuce and had absolutely no luck with the seeds for a little over a month. But then Elliot came along on a call and gave us all advice. And as a communal opinion, they all said it was best to start over if we did not see any results. So I did that. And soon enough, I got some results and my seeds started to sprout. However, Mia and Ariana were able to plant some herbs, which consisted of cilantro, jalapenos, tomatoes, and they had a great experience from the start, and their seeds were able to sprout. But both Kevin and Lauren did not have the best experience from the start. In fact, Kevin forgot to take out the plug, which caused his plants not to grow, but they're now growing and doing well. However, Lauren has tried about 3 times and still had no sprouts coming out, but she's still trying and caring for her plants. In all truths, the gardening process has been a trial and error with some patience, which is something all of us had to learn and still continue to try to do and care for our plants.
So, since we weren't able to have a community garden, instead we conducted research in 3 different areas in hopes of creating one in the future. So the first area we focused on was identifying the problem. So community gardens can help combat food deserts, which are places, especially low-income neighborhoods, where food options are limited. So not a lot of people in Koreatown have the luxury to get both affordable and healthy food. That's why some people just end up going to McDonald's right across the street. And also, if any of you have been to Koreatown, then you would notice that there's a lack of green space. So there aren't many places outside for members of the community to gather and bond. So our last area of research was workability. So how do community gardens even work? So they're often split up into individual plots, which can be rented to individuals or families, and the starting and the cost to rent a plot ranges from $100 to $120 per year. So what are the hours? Well, looking at Santa Monica's community garden, theirs is open from 8 a.m. to 5 p.m. on weekdays, closed on weekends. So Koreatown's community garden can adopt similar schedule or a different one. Who gets to be there? Obviously, residents of Koreatown. You will not find anyone from Glendale or Burbank there, I promise. And how will it be funded? Well, through multiple ways, through fundraisers, campaigns, grants, etc.
Had a question or wanted to share out some of what you had discussed. Hopefully you had sort of a volunteer in your room who was gonna share out. Go ahead, Marjan.
So I'm just gonna be, I guess, speaking for breakout room 1. We kind of agreed that we kind of learned that it's really important to kind of just see what happens when you just talk to people and reach out to them, just to be able to understand what they go through, and so that you could be able to understand what's going on in your community.